This allegation and expose, as some would describe by Mr. Doherty, has opened up discussions. To help us get a better perspective, we're joined by public affairs analyst Achike Chude. Achike, thank you very much for giving us your time. Let's begin with asking your first impression when you saw this document accredited to Mr. Doherty. Some say it opens up spendings that could be described as unbelievable.
Yeah, I understand that on social media that there have been about 7 million, as much as 7 million responses or comments on this particular issue. Obviously, not everybody making those comments from Lagos State, but if you're going to look at it in terms of numbers, 7 million might represent about 25% of the citizens of Lagos, though they are not exactly citizens of Lagos, all of them. And so that tells you that it is something that is of very serious interest to people generally. Of serious interest because there is a general impression that these figures are outrageous. And I think it is a figure that has whipped up all manners of sentiments, negative sentiments about the attitude of politicians and elected office holders, especially in the midst of so much poverty and suffering, where Nigerians are daily being told across the board to bear the pain of the difficulties they are going through for a better Nigeria. And so I think that what plays up in the minds of Nigerians is that for as long as they continue to hear stories like this, then every assurance by government and government officials would only remain a pipe dream, because you cannot have prosperity and growth in the midst of so much reckless expenditure. A unjustifiable expenditure, obviously, and I think that is just what is it. It is not just. It's not just the amount itself is humongous. It's mind blowing, and then what they are spending the monies on is another problem. Look, it seems to get worse every day. The other time, Nigerians were consternated and very angry when they heard how much the lawmakers had budgeted for themselves to buy jeeps, 160 million, 130 million. And then not long after that revelation came out, they were told about a yacht that was going to be bought by the presidency, or for the presidency, and then about 1.5 billion, 1.5 billion naira being budgeted for the office of the First Lady for the purchases again of vehicles. Of course, an office that is unknown to the Constitution. And so, and then with that dust had not settled, and then we are hearing about this from Lagos State. But again, don't also forget that if we are hearing this about Lagos State government, these wild expenditures, you can be sure that this is happening across board in Nigeria.
I was just actually about to interject and ask you that. It seems to be a practice all across the country. What does this say about the mindset of those who sought election with the claim that they want to serve the people?
I think, really, if you look at it, the behavior of elected political office holders, and based on the realities that we are seeing, you tend sometimes begin to have the feeling that it is as if the government or governance is a scam, as if the sole purpose of such people getting to government is just for the purpose of legitimately stealing from the state, from the people. And so you ask yourself, how can something that is legitimate be wrong? If it is not legally wrong, it is morally wrong, morally unjustifiable. And so we see a situation where it would appear that the instrumentality of the state, the instrumentality of government or governance is being used to subvert the interests and the welfare of the people. And so in a very terrible manner. And I think that that's what we are seeing. And you see, the reason why we can confidently say that what is happening in Lagos State is happening in other states of the country is essentially because there is nothing that we have seen that makes the politician in the South is different from those in the Northwest or the Southwest or the Northeast or South or any other part of the country, the Middle Belt, North Central. They are essentially the same thing, the same set of people, the same mindset, and the same lack of patriotism and lack of commitment to the welfare of their citizens. And so we see that in the poverty in the land. We see that in the number of people that are said to be in multidimensional poverty, even in the midst of plenty. And so you're talking about over 150 million Nigerians in multidimensional poverty right now, because by the time it came out about two years ago, it was about 133 million Nigerians. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to ask you, how should the government be responding? Should they be responding? And what response do you think would explain this away to the understanding of the ordinary man that you say is in multi-dimensional poverty?
Well, if you look at the number of cars, for instance, in the fleet of the Lagos state government, we see them sometimes when they are passing the streets of Lagos. And you want to spend 460 million to buy one car, even if you're spending 460 million to buy two vehicles at this time. I mean, we have statesmen in Africa, from countries that are not as prosperous as Nigeria. For instance, the president of Zambia that refused to use the perks of his office to buy all manners of vehicles for cars. He said they would manage what they have. The president of Malawi also said he was no longer going to travel because of the precarious financial situation, the economic situation in this country. And so he will no longer travel. He was to go for the COP28, the climate change issue, conference, very important. He didn't go. And there says no other government official will travel. And I mean, that is leadership. But you see, our leaders, they live their lives and then they carry on as if there is no tomorrow.
I'm sorry to interject. I just wanted to just point you towards, some response, because I really wanted to know from you, what response do you expect from the government? Should they be responding? And what kind of response, in your thinking, will, assuage the concerns of the ordinary man as quickly as you can?
Yeah, well, they have to respond. They have to respond because people are worried, people are angry, people are disappointed with what is happening, and people are beginning to have the impression that what the government, political office holders are doing is just looting the treasury of the government, of monies that belong to the people. So they have to respond and respond fast. How they are going to, explain away issues of, 7.5 million naira worth of perfumes. How they are going to explain away millions of naira, a billion, 2 billion naira for rechargeable lamps. What kind of rechargeable lamps? If you're going to buy all of these things in very large quantities, obviously the prices are going to be amazingly much lower than if you are going to buy retail. And then again, what is the justification of all of those things? Why rechargeable lamp in the first place? Don't they have generators? Don't they run, it's not for government offices. Are you saying that when NEPA, for instance, strikes and they take light, they don't power the generators for government houses? And then again, so much money being budgeted for diesel. And so then what do you need the rechargeable lamps for? And if it's rechargeable lamps, how many rechargeable lamps? And some of the other things, the refrigerators that are available already, what has happened to them? Were they not in good condition all this while? So that they are all broken down. So they need to be able to explain, and I think it is going to be a hard sell to the people of Lagos State.
Well, government have sold a lot of things before now. Let's see how they are going to sell this one, which is, disturbing a lot of Lagosians. Thank you very much, as always, for your kind thoughts.
Thank you, Felicity. Thank you.